Hello and welcome to another Motors.co.uk new car review. Now today we're going to be looking at the all-new Vauxhall Corsa, but before we dive in, please remember to subscribe to the Motors.co.uk YouTube channel, like this video, leave us a comment, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified each and every time we upload a new video. The Vauxhall Corsa is a household name, and that's because it's been on our roads for decades, all the while representing excellent value for money motoring. Now there's a fifth generation car, and it's the first all-new Vauxhall to come since Group PSA took the company over. But what has changed? Let's find out. This latest Corsa is by far the most radically designed to date. It's a very good looking car in the metal, in fact, and it certainly stands out against rivals like the Volkswagen Polo and the Ford Fiesta. The rear of the car is particularly strong thanks to sharp cut lines either side which give it a more dynamic, sporty look. The interior of the Corsa represents a big step up over the previous generation car, and that's mainly down to the seating position. Now Vauxhall has pushed hard to lower the seat height in the car, and that means that you've got a slightly sportier setup and it feels that you're sat in the car rather than over the car. And elsewhere things are good. The controls are all placed evenly, and the heating and ventilation controls, though they are a little bit old school, are right where you'd want them. And elsewhere, it does feel a little bit like a PSA parts bin in that you've got a PSA screen, PSA start button, all the major controls are lifted out of a Peugeot or of a Citroën, but they do work well, so it kind of makes sense. The central screen that's offered in this Corsa also gets Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so if you aren't happy with the system that you're using, then you can use your smartphone, and that's a really good option to have. Now, the car that we're driving today gets the 1.2 litre petrol engine with just shy of 100 brake horsepower. Now, out on the road, that feels like more than enough for this little Corsa. It gets up to speed really quickly, and it's nice and agile for driving around town, which, let's be honest, is where you're going to be driving it most of all. It's driven to the front wheels via a 6-speed manual gearbox. Now this is a classic PSA gearbox, so it's a little bit woolly, it's a little bit inaccurate, but it's light and it is easy to use, so it fits the overall character of the car. When it comes to the steering, it's light again, but it is quite accurate, and you get a good perception of what the front wheels are doing, and that makes it easy to drive around regardless of what speed you're doing. And one of the things that they've really improved on with this Corsa is the levels of refinement. It's really quiet in here no matter what speed you're travelling at. Now of course, at motorway speeds you do get a certain amount of tyre roar and a little bit of wind noise coming from the front, but it's not too much that it intrudes overall into the cabin, and that makes the car relaxing, makes it quiet and easy to drive. One of the biggest benefits is something that I've already mentioned, and that's the drop in seat height. Now what that does is just gives you a better sense of what the car's doing, makes you feel more connected with the car underneath you rather than feeling like you're sitting over it as if you're in like a minivan. Now this SRI version Corsa also gets a natty sport button, and this adds a little bit of weight to the steering and it sharpens up the throttle response too. So there is that if you do want to exploit the car on one of your favourite roads. However, without pressing the sport button, which let's be honest is probably how it's going to be left most of the time, it feels pretty much spot on. The ride is a little bit firmer around town compared to the old Corsa, and that's something that the Vauxhall engineers did on purpose, and that's because they wanted to limit the amount of roll that you get through the corners, and I think they've succeeded. As I mentioned earlier, this car is available with a petrol engine, with a diesel engine, and with an electric motor. And I think it's going to be the first and the last option that are going to be the most popular. Okay, if you're going to be doing long journeys, then the diesel still remains a good choice, but the mile per gallon figures are so close between the petrol and the diesel, really it isn't making much sense anymore. Likewise, if you're doing short journeys and smaller trips around town, then that electric version is going to be a very attractive option. And I think it's going to be the one to go for because it really suits the character of the Corsa. That said, there is a price increase, of course. This car starts from about £20,000, whereas the electric version is going to be up more towards the 30 mark after options. Because the Vauxhall Corsa has been sold in such vast quantities, this latest version has arrived with some serious expectation on its shoulders, and going off first impressions, things are looking good. It's good to look at, in my eyes at least, it's nice to drive, and it's well packaged inside too. And now, given that you've got the option of 3 different powertrains, both petrol, diesel and electric, there's no reason why this latest Vauxhall Corsa can't be more popular than ever.